Welcome here. Mark, thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. I always value introductions since the time I was in New York, and a group of African ambassadors had the privilege of listening to Bishop Desmond Tutu just after he won the Peace Prize. And he said to the group of ambassadors there, this thing of introductions is quite interesting, because I was in one of the states of the United States speaking to the large crowd that was there for me, and the Master of Ceremonies decided to say, we have our keynote speaker, a man who needs no introduction. And then somebody in the back said, "But who is he?" And then the bishop had his attire and as a religious man, and the gentleman who was standing beside the other said, "I'm not sure, but I think he's Bishop Mandela."
Excellent. That was excellent.
So, introductions are important so that we know each other who we're talking with. But it's definitely a great pleasure to welcome Mark and the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy again to the High Commission, because we actually did have one seated event here a number of years ago when I arrived, and there was a symposium like this one, and we did have the Institute here, and we discussed a number of things. But for this time, because we're doing this at the end of the day, I thought we shouldn't bore you with long speeches again, but to do justice to what Mark has asked us to do, would say only a few words to you, and then if you want to ask questions, you will ask questions after. I will propose after the second keynote address, and we can discuss briefly, and then we continue with the network, and you ask more direct questions as we have a glass of wine here. So welcome all of you here. The first thing I wanted to say is actually that you are visiting us at a very important time in the history of Mozambique. On the 25th of June of this year, Mozambique completed 40 years of independence from Portugal. So we have been celebrating these 40 years. Even in the life of a person, 40 years is an age of maturity, an age of great experience, and we celebrate these. We have gone through many trials and tribulations, but if you have been reading news from Mozambique today, you will find that all roads lead to Mozambique for many reasons. One, tourism. Second, economic development, because we have discovered mineral resources, huge resources, natural gas. All the big companies are going there. But also because we have a rich culture. People want to know about Mozambique and how it appeared on the map, the link between Mozambique and the Arab world. I don't know if you know, but the name Mozambique comes from Musa Albik.
Excellent.
Yes,
Excellent.
yes. The first capital of Mozambique is an island called Mozambique Island. That was the place where the Portuguese found the Arabs who were already there. And the main figure there was Musa Albik. So the Portuguese said, "Oh, this is the land of Musa Albik." And they put all together and said Mozambique.
Like a Saudi.
Because the
Saudi.
is Mozambique, not Mozambique. So that's how it became Mozambique. But we say Mozambique is a meeting place of civilizations because of this mixture of Europeans, Africans, Arabs, Asians. The Chinese were in Mozambique many centuries ago, and you will find some people of Chinese descent today in Mozambique. So we are meeting a place of civilizations, and we're celebrating these 40 years with great joy, because we think we have achieved a lot, and we are growing. We actually marked these celebrations with culture, and hence the importance we attach to cultural diplomacy, because we believe that culture is what can show everyone who we are, what we are, how we live. It's the best expression of a people from a nation. One intellectual from Africa once said that culture is what you have left when you have lost everything. And when I look at the history of my country, I can tell you we have experienced this. When our country was in conflict, when the country had the economy completely run down, culture was still there. We have this national dance company that was presenting the cultures, the dancing expressions, the poems of the whole country. And it was there, running throughout the country and preaching peace, dancing for peace, and also going outside the country, showing others how rich the culture of Mozambique was. So we value culture, and hence our partnership with IDC, because we believe this great institution that Mark Donfield started is a great institution to promote understanding, cooperation and collaboration among nations. And I congratulate you, Mark, and all of you who are associated with the Institute for what you are doing and what you plan for the future. I was also asked to say something about cultural diplomacy in the Commonwealth. Mozambique is one of the youngest members of the Commonwealth. We joined in 1995, and actually we were the first country that was not a colony of the UK to join the Commonwealth, because it is an organization of values, values of democracy, values of development. And we joined the organization not because we wanted to join an organization of military or hard power, or an organization with a lot of money, because it's not actually about money to become a member of the Commonwealth. We joined it because of the values. And the values have to do with the soft power of the Commonwealth, belonging to a club that promotes democracy, good governance, human rights, rule of law. It promotes development, equal development, and it has concern for the least developed countries of its memberships. We always have dedicated meetings on small island developing states in the Commonwealth, because are the most vulnerable amongst its membership. And the flagship of the Commonwealth is education and social development. And recently I was at the Commonwealth Ministers meeting in the Bahamas, in Nassau, and one important decision was taken there to create, you may have heard of CIMAG, but in the context of the political development. CIMAG is the Commonwealth Ministerial Group, Action Group, that deals with issues of human rights and democracy in member countries. This CIMAG that the Ministers of Education decided to create is to deal with a ministerial action group on education. And this is a recognition of the value of education in the Commonwealth. We learn from each other. We promote the best that each member of the Commonwealth has to give and we learn from each other. This is, after the summit, is one of the meetings that brings, besides the ministers of education, it brings students, lecturers, rectors of universities, teachers of schools, youth groups, students as well, to one place, and they meet in separate rooms, but then they also have joint meetings to discuss issues of interest in the Commonwealth. This is the power of the Commonwealth that we enjoy being a member of, and we believe is the best thing that we have done in the 40 years of independence. It was also to join the Commonwealth. Of course, being also a member of the Portuguese-speaking countries community, yet another organization that promotes good values. They complement each other. There's no contradiction there. But culture is also what I think Professor Nai calls soft power. I think the concept of soft power has to do with using what you have and what you are to promote good relationship with those beyond your borders. And we think culture can help us build that understanding. We experienced that in the week that we had 30 artists from Mozambique here in London who did concerts at Leicester Square, at SOAS, the university, and we went to Liverpool. We had cultural expressions. In the 4 years that I've been here, I have made many speeches, but the people I have spoken to probably will only remember that they spoke to the High Commissioner of Mozambique, but not exactly what we talked about. But those who have seen the music, the poetry, the dances of Mozambique in this week, I'm sure they will speak about this, they will remember those for many years to come. And after they see something like that, they go on the website of Mozambique, they Google Mozambique, they Google the wealth of the country and say, this is what Mozambique is. And that is the idea, is to use culture to promote mutual understanding and promote development. I think the Commonwealth can do more in the area of culture. And we are working as Board of Governors, all High Commissioners of Commonwealth members, governors of the Board of Governors of the Commonwealth. We discuss these issues, we discuss social development, including education, to promote this mutual understanding. And I think we are going in the right direction. Maybe next time when ICD comes, we'll promote a meeting with the Commonwealth High Commissioners to talk about what ICD is doing and what we can do together. I think I have said enough for today. I wanted to welcome you warmly here and say enjoy the warmth of Mozambique, its modest offerings, and let's be together.
So can we take a couple of questions? Would it be possible?
Yes, after the second presentation.
Second presentation.
Yes, please. So that we have the same.
First of all, a round of applause for His Excellency.